Yes, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman, Alfred.
I'm Batman.
I am Batman.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
Greetings, Bat Family, and welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Make sure you visit our website, holybatcast.com. It is your one-stop shop for all things Holy BatCast. But you can also find us all over social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast and you will find us. And if you love the show and you want to show your support and help us keep it going, make it a little bit easier for us to keep doing the show, you can do that on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/holybatcast. As always, huge thank you to those of you who do it. We know you don't have to. It's not required. We're going to still do whatever it takes to keep doing the show, but it does make our lives easier, and it means the world to us. So thank you for doing that. We're part of the Real Fans Podcast Network, so if you were looking for other shows to check out during your self-quarantine in all of your spare time, you can check those out at rf4rm.com. So, of course, there's this Holy BatCast, but there's Disorder, every Disney film. There's Please Rewind with Tim Rooney and Guy and occasionally Jamie, but they've been swapping out some other guests. There's Why Not Futurama. And then we have sort of brought back the Real Fans show. We've been doing other random episodes of that just because we're all at home. So check those out at rf4rm.com. As always, I'm your host, Andy DiGenova, and you can follow me on Twitter or on Instagram. It's just my name, Andy DiGenova. Now, this episode is going to be very similar to last week's, where we are going to talk about the latest news around the DC Universe, but primarily about our updated release slate for the DC films. And then we're going to review a couple more episodes of Batman Beyond to make up for last episode, where me and Brendan got our wires crossed. So joining me, you already heard him, it is my Bat brother from Down Under. It's Brendan. Hello. Hey, Brendan.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? I missed you so much.
Oh, it's almost like it's been 24 hours since we spoke.
But you know what? It feels like a lifetime when I'm away from you.
It does. It
does.
really does.
Oh,
yeah.
It's so sad. So, Brendan, it's been wonderful to have this time, just you and me. It really has. It's been special. I feel like our relationship has only flourished in this time.
We're definitely closer.
We've definitely gotten closer, and it's been wonderful, But all good things must come to an end. And so, I kind of consider what we've been doing on the show for the past month or two is we're at a junior high dance, and we've snuck off to the corner, and we're canoodling in a dark corner. And the teacher hasn't seen us. But guess what? The teacher's back and is about to break up our little love fest. Because, oh my God, Principal Drooly is back in the house. Everybody, welcome back Jamie Drooly. Woo!
Wait, what am I doing here? What's going on? Huh?
You're breaking up all of the love that's been happening on this show that's been making our listeners so uncomfortable.
What's that bastard's name in Back to the Future? Is it Strickland? Is that him?
Ah, yes. You are totally Mr. Strickland.
The principal's always allowed to join in.
And there are laws against that in this country.
Laws schmoes. Laws are made to be broken.
Oh, man. We'll just polish that bald head.
So listen, that sounded way sexier than it should have been. So I've been off the last couple of months conducting a scientific experiment, and I've been drinking 6 pints of Guinness a day for 2 months, and goddamn it, I don't look a thing like Jason Momoa, and I'm really mad about it.
Well, I say just keep trying.
I mean, I'm drinking one now, so apparently I'm not ready to give up on the experiment yet. I'm just a little disappointed at the slow results.
Yeah.
It's good to have you back.
We're good. We're glad to have you back. We missed you, buddy.
I appreciate that. And listen, everybody, serious note here. I've gotten a lot of messages and support and well wishes and all that stuff, and every single one of them meant something to me. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you, everyone who sent along any well wishes, messages, support, any of that. Greatly appreciated, and it feels good. It feels normal to be doing this again. Although now I feel like I'm a really big piece of meat in between a couple of slices of white bread, and I'm not sure I like that feeling. But we'll see how it goes. I'm not going to be ultra suburban. I'm going to be open-minded about this. We'll see what happens. But
it's all good. There's always room for one more.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Here comes the back to the pile stuff again.
Oh, geez. Okay. Well,
so anyway,
we are glad to have you back.
Some dude with a cape and pointy ears y'all like to talk about, I hear.
Yeah, let's talk about him. There's lots of stuff to talk about. Surprisingly, quite a bit to talk about, even with the whole world screeched to a halt. So first thing, probably the most tenuous connection to Batman, but I still think worth talking about, is HBO Max is officially launching on May 27th. So I think that is worth noting because there have been a lot of conversations about what that's going to mean for DC Universe and how much DC content is coming to HBO Max, how much will be there at launch. So HBO Max will launch about a month from right now. So we're only about a month away. It will be $14.99 a month, which is what HBO Now costs. So I guess that's why they're like, hey, if we can get away with it for HBO Now, HBO Max offers so much more content, we can probably get away with it for that. So, but it is pricier than Disney Plus and Netflix and things. So $15 a month, and at launch, there will not be any original DC content, but they did say that there will be films like Joker, Wonder Woman, Suicide Squad, Shazam, Aquaman, and every Batman and Superman movie from the last 40 years. So, interesting. I don't know if this is going to be in Australia, Brendan. Have you heard?
No. Jamie and I were having a message conversation about this yesterday where, again, it seems to be at launch, it's just going to be America and I think maybe Canada. But yeah, there's no word on a global rollout yet from what I've seen online anyway. And we don't even have HBO Now.
Oh, okay.
Which really surprises me.
Yeah, me too.
Because see, HBO here, because like you've got like there's obviously normal television, but there's also cable TV, and that's all done through Foxtel, which is that Fox group. They sort of own the cable rights here, and HBO is tied up with Foxtel here. So I don't know. Again, I think it's going to be like we've discussed previously, Andy, where rights and things could be tied up with other services. Like I know, like things like Friends and stuff like that, it's on a streaming service over here called Stan, and I know that's one of the big selling points for HBO Max is they're going to have all the Friends and stuff like that. The research I've seen is it's looking like at least maybe 2021 before we get it, but even then, who knows?
Interesting.
Like we didn't have Netflix for years after you guys did, so
yeah. Did you get Disney Plus at launch?
We got Disney Plus at launch, yeah. I think we might have had it a week after you, but that's the thing, Disney Plus was, and that was like Stan, the service I was just talking about. They had all the Disney content for quite a while. Like that was one of their big selling points was they had all your Disney movies, and they lost them. Was around September, October last year, and then Disney Plus launched in sort of late November.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's happening still here. We have Disney Plus, but Disney still had the Netflix deal, so you can still find a lot of the Disney movies on Netflix and on Disney Plus, or some of them are waiting to move to Disney Plus. So they have to wait for a lot of those deals to expire. Just a little more of just high level on things you'll find on HBO Max. It says over 18,000 movies, including The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, The Matrix, the Lego movies, Studio Ghibli, Wizard of Oz, Casablanca, Citizen Kane, The Shining, like just the WB back catalog of big movies. They've also secured deals for shows like all the HBO shows like Westworld, Game of Thrones, Veep, Silicon Valley, The Wire, things like that. So that's kind of exciting because there's a lot of those shows that I haven't had HBO Now, so I haven't been able to watch or catch up on, so that I think will keep me plenty busy. I'm not opposed to a Game of Thrones rewatch. They also got deals for Rick and Morty, Doctor Who, a lot of CW stuff like Pretty Little Liars, Batwoman, and a Riverdale spinoff, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, West Wing, Friends, South Park, So yeah, just so much stuff. And then the originals that will launch, none of it is DC related, but the first DC thing that looks like it is in the pipeline is season 2 of Doom Patrol, which will also be on DC Universe at the same time. So Jamie, is this a at launch purchase for you?
Well, I already do HBO now, so my understanding is I don't have it as an add-on channel through anything else. And the understanding I have from reading and conversations I've had with other people are, if you have HBO Now as its own standalone thing, it automatically converts to HBO Max.
Oh, nice. That makes it easy, because then your cost is the same.
Yeah, I mean, I won't. I'm already paying it, so yeah, I would have paid it anyway. So great, give me all that content over and above. Fine. I have it because I was, big. The reason I got HBO to begin with was for Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. And then I got hooked on Ballers, and then I got hooked on other stuff, Westworld, all this other stuff. So, I mean, I'm just rolling right along. Most of the original programming I watch on there, I enjoy. So,
cool.
Obviously, they got a decent movie catalog, too. So, I get my money's worth out of it.
I hadn't gotten HBO Now, and I wanted it because of Game of Thrones and Westworld, because I watched season 1 of Westworld, but then I fell behind because I was like, I just didn't want to pay $15 a month for essentially one show. But now that that's included with all of this other stuff, it's a little easier for me to justify $15 a month.
Oh, I get it. And that was actually the one question mark I had with this service is my Netflix bill is like $18 a month, but I have like 4K and I can go up on like 5 devices at a time. And, I basically have everything I can get except for the disc mail-in disc rental stuff, which I don't even know if they do that anymore. So that's really my highest cost for my streaming content services that I have. And then I have one called like Philo. I think I pay like $12 a month for that. But then I get some of the live TV stuff, like my kids watch SpongeBob on there. My wife and I watch Better Call Saul on there. Disney Plus, obviously. I did that 3-year deal on Disney Plus. So I think my Disney Plus subscription's less than $4 a month over the course of 3 years if I spread it out. DC Universe is the reduced rate because I do the annual subscription and so on. So that was my big question mark with HBO Max, was anybody that wasn't already doing HBO, are you going to be able to get enough new subscribers on that thing at double the cost of any other real streaming service out there right off the gate without offering any kind of like incentive for somebody to come on, like the first 6 months for $5 or something like that? It's that seems risky to me, but the WB and AT&T people are smarter than me, obviously. So.
I mean, that is a good question, because all the folks who already have HBO Now who are already paying it, and sure, if it gets automatically transferred, which is cool, that makes things easy, but then you're not seeing any additional subscribers. But I think that, yes, I think there's enough extra value in this streaming service, and I also think that in a month, people are still going to be spending a lot of time at home. I don't think that, this COVID-19 thing is going to have blown over by then. And so I think that this is a great time to launch it, where people are like, you know what, like $15 for all of this extra content while we're at home. I think that actually might work for them.
Well, that's a fair point, I guess.
But yeah, I mean, I do think that the price point is a concern because of how high it is. But again, I was shocked at how many people were willing to pay $20 to watch Onward when they knew if they only waited 2 weeks it would be part of Disney Plus, but they paid for it anyway because they were so hungry for something new to watch at home. I was amazed by that. So $15 to get 18,000 movies at your fingertips that aren't on Netflix or Hulu or anything, I could see that being worthwhile.
Yeah, I get it. I'm the kind of person, I see value in things. So $15 a month compared to Disney Plus, DC Universe, CBS All Access, what have you. I mean, that seems pricey, but you got to look at the value of the content that you're getting there. I get $15 worth out of my HBO subscription every month. No problem.
Mm-hmm. Right.
None at all.
Exactly. Totally.
So, but some people only see the price. They don't see anything else. I literally know a ton of people right now that are in this other geek group that a friend of mine has that I'm in, and I never bring you guys into it because I know it'll just do nothing but start fights because these guys all piss on DC on a regular basis. But anyway, they're a good bunch of guys, but they have a really hard time separating. Anyway, I don't get into that. Anyway, they're like, yeah, I'm not going to do DC Universe. That's ridiculous to pay $7 a month for this thing, and I only get one TV show every couple months, and now they're going all over the place with their things and everything else. I'm like, you buy comic books? Yeah. I said, last I knew, comic book costs on average of about $3 a piece. Yeah. So you mean to tell me you can't read 3 comic books in a month's time? Because if you do that, you're ahead of the game on that price. Plus all the TVs and movies and everything else they have on there.
Yep.
So I some people just don't see anything but a price point for the original content. Like, I know people that are mad at Disney because they watched The Mandalorian and they cut it off because they didn't have anything else on there that they wanted to watch.
Yeah.
I'm like, have you bothered to go through and see how many friggin' movies and TV shows are on that service?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not the most Disney-loving person you'll ever see, but there's some really good stuff on there, and I got no problem paying that subscription price. So
Right. No, absolutely. And I feel the same way about DC Universe, as we've gotten emails here on this show and stuff of people being like, I've been disappointed, to your point. Oh, I'm only getting, one new episode a week. And I say exactly what you said. It's like, if you read 2 comic books a month, it's paid for. And I'll tell you right now, like, we did the whole Robin episode, and a bunch of people recommended Robin stories. What did I do? I went to DC Universe. I downloaded all the Robin stories, and I've been reading them, and it's been great. And it's technically not free. I'm paying for it, but like, so worth it that, like, oh, I want to dive into a bunch of Robin stories. They're right there at my fingertips. And then I did the same. Like, last time someone goes, oh, you haven't read the Batman the Cult? You got to read Batman the Cult. You know what I did? Went on DC Universe, downloaded Batman the Cult, and now it's in my reading list. So it's so nice to have. It's not 100% of the DC Comics library, but it is a huge chunk of it where
it's more than you'll find anywhere else at a lot cheaper price.
Yeah, I get a recommendation. I can go get it
and start buying those things and see how much it costs you. That's it. It's the perception and perspective of people that are doing this. And everybody's got their own way of doing things. I'm not criticizing that, but if you're looking at DC Universe as something that you're only going to use to watch the shows and movies that are on there, and people say, well, I have all the Batman movies, I have all the Superman movies, I have all the TV shows, I've seen all the TV shows. That's cool. I don't have. I mean, I've got most of it. But like Batman Beyond, for example, we wouldn't be reviewing Batman Beyond on the show if it wasn't for DC Universe, because I sure as hell wasn't going to spend $80 or whatever it cost to buy the Blu-ray set for that.
Damn it, Jamie.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of DC Universe, that's really why I brought up HBO Max, is because that's been the question, is then what happens to DC Universe in a month when HBO Max launches? Because HBO Max does have a lot of DC content coming for it. Aside from season 2 of Doom Patrol, which will be shared with DC Universe, it's also, they've announced a Green Lantern series. They announced it was like Superhero High or something, like the Justice League Dark series from Bad Robot, the Aquaman animated series. Like, a lot of DC content that's been announced in the past year has all been announced for HBO Max and not for DC Universe. So Brendan and I talked about this 1 or 2 episodes ago, I can't remember, and I basically said, yeah, like, DC Universe I think will go away in its current form, but my hope is it will just be absorbed into HBO Max, and I will still have access to all of that stuff with my HBO Max subscription. But Jamie, what are your thoughts on it?
Somebody somewhere suggested the idea that HBO Max do something similar to what Disney Plus did, and have on your home screen, if you go on the home screen of Disney Plus, you've got Marvel, you've got Star Wars, you've got Pixar, you've got, their main 5 or 6 things are right there when you log onto the page.
That was
They're
me.
big attractions. Okay. I couldn't remember who it was that said it. I couldn't remember. My brain doesn't work anymore. That's an idea. I mean, have it so you sign on HBO Max, and there's a DC section, there's a Friends section, there's a Doctor Who section, whatever. These are the big draws that they'll have. And I don't want DC Universe to go away, but I understand if DC Universe becomes DC's equivalent to Marvel Unlimited. Now, don't quote me on this, because I don't have Marvel Unlimited, because I'm not sure I can find enough time to read all the books that I would want to on both services, in addition to raising children, being a husband, being a business owner, being, all the other stuff I have to do. I don't know if I need another comic book subscription service for one that I'm going to like less books than I would for the DC stuff. I mean, I'm more of a DC fan than I am a Marvel fan. That's not to say Marvel doesn't have great stuff. They do, but I don't know if I need that subscription. I say all this to say I'm pretty sure I looked at it a few weeks ago, and Marvel Unlimited, I want to say, is like $9 a month, which for all the content you get for it, that's a good value. Again, read 3 comic books a month, you're breaking even.
Mm-hmm.
If DC Universe, for the cost of between $5 and $8 a month, becomes just a comics only service, to me, that's still good value. I'll still keep it. That's still worthwhile, and move all of the motion media stuff over to HBO Max. I could certainly see that coming, but my God, after all the effort and everything that they put into this, it would be a shame for it to just go away completely. But the fact that they're sharing all of these TV series with so many other networks, like Stargirl is a split show, Doom Patrol is going to become a split show, Harley Quinn's now going to become a split show. It doesn't register with me that they're going to keep a lot of this exclusive content rolling on DC Universe with that going on.
Yeah. Well, you just brought up the other thing I wanted to talk about, is the fact that, we found out this week that Harley Quinn is going to start airing on Sci-Fi. So you're right, like DC Universe exclusives are no longer exclusive. So I do think that says a lot about what their plans are for DC Universe, which is, it's not going to continue existing in its current form. Again, ideally, they're going to port all those comics over to HBO Max, and I can access it there. Or, to your point, it will just continue on, and it's less, the draw of it is less about the video content, because all that's going to be available on HBO Max as well, and it's going to be more about the comics. And still, if they keep the price point of whatever I'm paying now, $5 a month, I think, that's still worth it for just the comics, and to have all the video there as well is just a bonus to it. So thoughts on Harley Quinn going to Sci-Fi?
Doesn't concern me at all. There's still no way to.
Doesn't change your life at all. Yeah, that's true.
You don't even have Sci-Fi Network down there?
I think so. Again, that's a Foxtel thing. Like, it's a pay TV service. So I think we do, but it's not something I have. And even then, I don't know if it will mean that they'll start showing it here. I don't know. Okay. I'm still going to be getting VHS tapes from Andy.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, you do what you got to do. Jamie, what do you think?
I cut the cord a while ago, so it's been like a year since I got rid of it. And I was watching Sci-Fi Network with absolutely no consistency whatsoever during that time. So I don't know what their policy is on mature content, aka language and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So are they going to bleep everything out? Are they going to air it in the after 10 time slot where they can get away with it? Are they only going to cut out the F-bombs? I'm not sure. I guess I'll get right to the point that I have with this. I don't know why Warner Brothers, AT&T, DC, whoever is in charge of these ideas, lets all of these shows be scattered around the way that they do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why Warner's isn't making a consolidated effort to get everything in one spot right now.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me, especially with this powerhouse, eventual supposed potential Netflix killer they have coming. There's no reason in the world these guys should not want all of their content in one spot instead of having yet another place take a show and run with it.
Right. Well, and especially because I think Sci-Fi is owned by Universal. So it's not even like it's a WB, it's not like it's part of the WB family. It's part of Universal. So it is strange that they would make the deal with Sci-Fi to show Harley Quinn when it's not even part of the family. But I don't know, maybe Sci-Fi is desperate for programming and they offered them a great price. And right now, these studios, which are mostly shut down, they're like, any revenue is good revenue right now. And it's sort of a win-win, as WB makes a little bit of money out of a show they've already made for their streaming. And then Sci-Fi has new programming to show that most people haven't seen because it's only on DC Universe. So maybe it was just a good deal for both of them.
I mean, financially speaking, you're probably right. But again, thinking long-term, unless they only have a short-term contract to run like the first season or two of the show, why wouldn't they want this on HBO Max? Why wouldn't they want this on something that WB actually owns? I mean, that's.
I mean, I think in the long run, I think it will be there. I think they probably kept the streaming rights for it because it's on DC Universe, so they probably didn't give those up. But again, it's not like people are going to be subscribing or not subscribing to HBO Max based on Harley Quinn. So I think that for them, it's probably a wash. But I do think, and like you, I've cut the cord years ago, and I haven't watched basic cable for years until 2 months ago when I got stuck in Orlando, and in this temporary apartment they've got me in, there's cable, and I haven't had cable in years, and so it's like kind of a new way of thinking again, where I'm setting DVR again for things, and I'm like, oh man, it's like living the old way. But
since you have cable, do they still have those things? I can't remember. They're these strange, like, clips that they show in the middle of the show that are trying to get you to buy shit.
Where they sell you things?
Yeah.
Where they sell you stuff?
Are those still around? It's almost.
They
you
are.
know how you're on Facebook and other places and you kind of get those little pop-up ads to get you to buy something? It's like the television version of that. I can't remember what they are.
Yes. Yeah. They're great, actually. They're really good. I was amazed, I got to tell you, at how quickly all these companies made quarantine-friendly ads about, like, we know you're home alone, but Taco Bell is there for you. Come get a free taco. And I'm like, okay, I will. And so you better believe I did. So it's just so funny. All these different companies, like even like Michael's, they're like, you're stuck at home, but this is a great time to, have fun with your hobbies. So come on down to Michael's. We've got curbside pickup. But anyway, yeah. So I've watched cable for, more in the past 2 months than I had in 5 years. I think Sci-Fi does show adult content. I feel like, because that's where, like, they should Battlestar Galactica, and if I remember correctly, that had language and nudity, if I remember. Like, I never watched it regularly, but I think it was adult skewing. I think it was essentially an R-rated TV show. But I also think you can't show Harley Quinn unless you're going to show it uncut, because even if you bleep the language, we're still talking about, like, graphic violence. So I think they have to show it as it is, like, and it'll just be showed late at night, I guess. But here's my other theory on this, is that Harley Quinn, and again, Brendan and I talked about this briefly on the last episode, it is critically acclaimed and people love it. So, like, it's a show that I don't want to call it the breakout show of DC Universe, but in a lot of ways it is, because again, I've heard from a lot of people who tend to not like DC stuff, who still love Harley Quinn, the show, and so I do wonder if, like, they're like, hey, we've got a great show here, people love it, but not enough people can see it, let's make it available.
Yeah, get it in front of more pairs of eyes.
Yeah, let's get it in front of more people. So I do wonder if that's also part of it, is it's like, here's this show that a lot of people love, but not enough people have access to. Let's give them access.
I'm surprised they didn't shop Young Justice Season 3 for that, too, then.
I mean, I agree.
Even this group I'm telling you about that doesn't generally like DC, when that Young Justice Season 3 was running, that's the one positive conversation I could count from them on a DC matter every single day was that show. And maybe that's a small group that I'm talking about,
Yeah.
Maybe Harley Quinn has a broader appeal than Young Justice.
Yeah. I mean, I think Young Justice is better than Harley Quinn, personally. But I feel that Harley Quinn is buzzier. For whatever reason. I hear more people talk about Harley Quinn than I saw talk about Young Justice.
I wonder if it's because Harley Quinn's come as sort of more of a surprise. I mean, not for me, because as I've said, I was in from the start, but there just didn't seem to be a lot of expectation for it. And then after the first 2 or 3 episodes, people were like, holy shit, this is awesome, and they were in, and then they started talking about it more.
Yeah, could be. So, anyway, it's interesting, but again, it is also, I think, a good indicator of, like, oh, they're not making it exclusive to DC Universe, and I think it's because they figure the people who are paying for DC Universe, like us, who are, or me and Jamie anyway, like, generally we're, that's not going to change whether or not we subscribe to it, because it's more about the entire package. And so they're just like, get it out there. It's a good show, and the more people who watch it, if we have a hit show, we can leverage that. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. So we'll see what happens, but I think that we're going to see what happens sooner than later when HBO Max launches next month. So while all this is happening, we're continuing to prepare for the upcoming DC films, including The Batman, which they shot 25% of-ish, according to Matt Reeves. But a couple little tidbits about The Batman. The first thing is that Zoe Kravitz did an interview with Vanity Fair, and she talked a little bit about playing Catwoman, so this is kind of fun. And so she said, she's talking about staying motivated and staying in shape during self-quarantine. So she said, I mean, it's not like the studio called and said, don't get fat, bitch. But I've been training. This is her words, not mine. Says, but I'd been training for maybe 4 or 5 months, and the first couple weeks that I self-quarantined, I remember texting the director. I texted Matt, and I was like, we might have to get the cat suit a few sizes bigger when this is over. So I quickly decided to get my shit together, and I've been working out virtually with my trainer 5 days a week. And it's actually been really great because it's been giving me some kind of structure because I do it at the same time. And it also makes the weekends feel like weekends because I don't work out on the weekends. And it gives me it's a different kind of day. So it's actually been really great just for my mental health. And kind of food's kind of the only thing that I have, food and wine, bringing me joy right now. So I'm definitely eating whatever the F I want. But yeah, try to stay in decent shape so I don't have to start from scratch. So, makes sense that she got in this amazing shape for Catwoman. And they're like, actually, we've got to pause for a couple months. And so, good on her, I guess. Like, I like that she's having it both ways, though. She's like, okay, I'll work out 5 days a week. I'll stay in Catwoman shape. But I'm eating what I want to eat.
Good on her.
If you're burning them calories, what the hell, you know?
Exactly. Go for it. Now, Zoe, prove it. Please send some videos out. Prove that you're in Catwoman shape. I don't believe you, and the only way I'll believe you if you send video. Thanks, Zoe. Love you. Mean it.
Did Andy just ask for a Tinder date with Zoe Kravitz right there? Is that what just happened?
Maybe. It's purely educational. That's it.
I want to see proof she can fit into the catsuit. So we need to see that catsuit.
That too. So yeah, I'm sorry. What we need video of you in Catwoman shape, and then yeah, like show that you can still fit into the catsuit. It's probably best for us all if we know that. So
how do the kids
Zoe.
say this? You're a bunch of thirsty mofos. Is that
self-quarantine? It's getting to us, okay?
Fair point.
But in addition to Catwoman, there is, of course, also the Penguin. And this is a random story that I almost missed, but it's kind of random and fun. So an actor named Rob McClure. Do you know his name? I didn't know his name.
Is that Troy's brother?
Troy McClure?
I'm Troy McClure.
You might remember him. Yeah. Planet of the Apes, the musical. Dr. Zaius. Anyway.
Thanks. That's going to be stuck in my head all night now.
I love you, Dr. Zaius. So Rob McClure, I didn't know his name either. He's playing Mrs. Doubtfire on Broadway. And number one, completely off topic, but like a month ago, they released the promo photos of the Mrs. Doubtfire on Broadway, and oh my God, it's not cute. It's terrifying.
It doesn't look good.
But anyway, he was doing.
Musical, doesn't it?
Was there a Roadhouse musical?
Yeah, and of all things,
really?
Bruce Leroy from Last Dragon played Dalton.
Oh, okay. I did not know
I think
that.
that was more of a tongue-in-cheek thing with that, though. I don't think that was purpose.
Nice. Yeah. Well, whether or not the show's any good, that wasn't what I was referring to. It was just the pictures of Mrs. Doubtfire herself. Like, she looked terrifying. Like, it was creepy. It was a little more Leatherface and a little less Mrs. Doubtfire.
Now it's the one I want to watch. Thanks.
But he obviously is wearing prosthetics to transform into Mrs. Doubtfire. And so he was doing a video on Reddit, but it is him. The video's posted. And he was talking about going to get his prosthetics for Mrs. Doubtfire. And he said, yeah, it was so cool because they were building the Penguin prosthetics for Colin Farrell for the new Batman movie.
Oh.
So because he randomly was going to this prosthetics shop to pick up his Mrs. Doubtfire face, he saw the Penguin prosthetics and probably didn't know to not mention it. And so he just kind of mentioned it off the cuff. But of course, it's the internet and we're nerds and we're like, if it's about Batman, we want to hear. So it sounds like Colin Farrell might be wearing prosthetics as Oz or Oswald Cobblepot. So, Brendan, thoughts?
Oh, I mean, look, I'm not surprised. I mean, you'd have to do some sort of transformative thing for that character. I mean, it could even just be something simple like a nose or something. But
well, you wouldn't have to. You wouldn't have to. I mean, honestly, I was getting kind of concerned that he wouldn't. That it would just be Colin Farrell in a suit with an umbrella, and it'd be like, yeah, that's that's our Penguin.
Oh, I don't know. I think you need to do something at least with the nose. Just a little bit. I don't know. That's just me. So, I mean, the news doesn't really surprise me at all. I mean, I'm happy, but I wouldn't say it's not shocking.
I just want somebody to teach me the French flipper trick already.
I mean, here's the thing. I know what you're saying, Brendan, but I'm relieved. I want Colin Farrell to look more like the Penguin than Colin Farrell. And so I'm glad to hear that he will be wearing some sort of prosthetics to give him more of a penguin-y look. Because based on what we have seen so far of the Batman, the suit, the bike, the car, very real world, it would not have surprised me if Matt Reeves was like, no, Colin Farrell's just going to wear an overcoat and a tie, and that's our Penguin, and we're going to keep it real world. So to change his appearance a little bit, make him a little more penguin-y, for me, that's good news. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it's good news.
I'm kind of with Andy. I at this point, I more or less expected Colin Farrell to maybe have the tuxedo, the top hat, and possibly a monocle that he wore for 5 seconds. I wasn't expecting much more than that, so I'm good with this. Yeah,
I'm glad. Give him a pointy nose, and also we had seen they were stupid paparazzi photos, but a couple months ago there were paparazzi photos of Colin Farrell going to the grocery store, but he looked thick, and that made me happy too, because yes, he doesn't have to be shaped like Danny DeVito in Batman Returns, but I like the Penguin to have a little more mass, a little more heft to him. So the fact that Colin Farrell's a little thicker than we're used to seeing him, he's going to have some sort of prosthetics. I'm like, good. I want him to look like the Penguin. For me, that's good news.
If you saw him on, I think it was True Detective on HBO, while we're discussing HBO stuff here, he was, looking a little rough around the edges, if you will. I mean, they kind of made him look aged up. He kind of, gained a little bit of weight here and there, a little soft around the middle kind of thing. He had dad bod. I mean, that's the only way I can really put it. So, yeah, I mean, it's not uncommon for him to be seen with that. It's not like he's, doing the Ben Affleck Batman workout anywhere or anything. So,
right. For sure. So anyway, I was like, oh, that's cool.
That's the kind of role I'd look for if I was in Hollywood, honestly.
Right. So anyway.
Put me on the carb-consuming diet, not the other one.
Right? I think it was Jared Leto. Do you remember when he got really big for some role and he said he drank melted butter to put on the weight? Which can't you just eat donuts? Anyway, so I just thought it was worth mentioning because it was so random that Mrs. Doubtfire from Broadway accidentally scooped about the Penguin wearing prosthetics, but I think it's cool. I think it will definitely be more subtle than we're getting for Danny DeVito, but again, a little bit of changing Colin Farrell's appearance is good. Because the way I started picturing it was essentially Colin Farrell from Fantastic Beasts, but with an umbrella. That was sort of what I thought it was going to end up being.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
I didn't see that, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I'm sure you can Google it at your leisure. But the Batman is coming, but it is coming a little bit later than we expected. So, ever since this the COVID-19 situation has been happening, people have been asking us, people have been asking Matt Reeves about, is the movie going to get delayed? Is the Batman going to get delayed? And we're all like, right now it's not. But unfortunately, we were all waiting for this. And yes, Warner Brothers did reshuffle their schedule and change the release dates for all of their slate, but the ones we really care about are the DC films. So let's talk about the updated slate. The first one is the one that we should be seeing in what is it? 6 weeks? It would have been 5 or 6 weeks away. Yeah. Is Wonder Woman 1984.
I cry every time I see a bag of Doritos right now.
I know, it's so sad. But I think that the merch is starting to hit, so I'm like, I kind of want to buy the merch just to have it, to keep me excited. But as we've mentioned prior, this one has been bumped officially to August 14th, but no further change since then. But do you guys really think it's going to stay on August 14th?
I mean, there's reports over here, apparently this morning, a friend messaged me before that cinemas are looking for a July date to reopen. So, I mean, if that happens, but then the issue is too, I mean, it's not, they're going to reopen, yeah, but it's not going to be open like it used to be. Like, they're going to still have to practice social distancing and stuff. So, I mean, like, if you're opening a movie and you're only allowed less than a half, maybe, of, you know, the amount of bums in seats for every session, you're still not going to make as much money as you want to. And, I mean, that's not taking into account this is just the people that are still too scared to show up.
Right.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, that's my biggest concern is I feel like the theaters will probably be open by then, but I also feel like people aren't going to be rushing out to them because they're still going to be scared. So, to quote Commissioner Gordon in Batman 89, I think a lot of people will stay away. People are scared. So, yeah, like I still feel like August 14th is a little too optimistic, and I'd be shocked if it stays there. And yeah, you're right. Like, will enough people be open to going to a theater that it's going to make the money that we all know it should make?
I mean, I don't care if I have to wear like one of those full body condoms from, is it the first Naked Gun movie where they're practicing safe sex? I'll wear one of those if it means I can go to the cinema to watch Wonder Woman, in August. I'll definitely be there. But yeah, I just don't know financially if it's the right call. But then it's the other question is too. It's like how long do you wait?
Yeah.
There's no concrete date where this is all going to end and things are going to go, quote unquote, back to normal, because normal might never be the same again. So yeah, it's a really difficult one.
Well, and like someone's got to be the test case. Like some movie has to come out and to show how many people are willing to show up. And like, who wants to be that? Who wants to jump on that grenade first and go, hopefully people are going to show up. But if they don't, like, that sucks for that movie and that studio.
Let it be Black Widow.
Jamie, what do you think?
At some point, things have to change and normalize. And when I say normalize, I mean they either have to go back to something resembling what they used to be, or they have to evolve into something entirely different. So in the case of movies, somebody's got to release a movie, see if people show up for it. If they have to still do with the social distancing thing with it, so be it. But in that case, half of something is better than all of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Economically speaking, they would probably have to cut down their workforce, which keeps unemployment numbers higher. Or they literally have to look at transitioning at a much faster rate than what they were initially going to, doing everything in a home release schedule. And I don't think anybody wants to do that. And if they do that, I think we're going to kiss these $250 million movies goodbye. There's no way they can maintain those doing that. No possible way.
Because the problem is, and I think it might have been in a James Bond group I was talking the other day, not real fans, but I get the VOD model, and I understand that studios are making money from it. I mean, the Trolls World Tour, we were talking in Real Fans the other day, made quite a bit of dough from its first weekend of VOD release. We're about to see what happens midway through next month with Scoob, with Warner Brothers doing that as well. But the reality is that as soon as the studios release it to video on demand, it's instantly going to be on the torrent sites.
Well, it's not even that, but movies like Endgame and Wonder Woman and any major blockbuster film, they don't make all their money because everybody went and saw it once.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And if they have these price points at, say $20 for a rental cost for these things, that's basically, call that 2 movie tickets. I mean, I don't know what prices are.
Mm-hmm.
Andy said in California, movie tickets are like $15-16. Here, they're like $9. So, I mean, let's call it $10 on an average for a ticket. If they're renting that for $20, that's 2 ticket sales per. If people aren't practicing social distancing, you're going to get a group of 5 or 6 people say, come over to my house. We'll rent this movie tonight. There goes half that ticket price. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's so much that's going to be involved here, but people are going to be scared. They're going to be cautious. But I legitimately think that there is a more sentiment than not of people want to get back to their lives as they knew them. They may not be able to get back exactly as they were. We may not be able to do the things we used to do in the way that we used to do them, but Freaking people are desperate to get outside and go back to work. They're desperate to go back to seeing their friends, their family. They want to be able to do this. I've got a guy that I work with, kind of like a casual basis thing. Like he's not an official employee at my place, but like we work together. His sister just died. Nobody could go to the funeral. Like he's going to have like 4 people at the funeral, and that's all the immediate family for his sister. I can't go see her. It's kind of a messed up deal. But I say all this to say we have to overcome the fear at some point. This is probably going to be if depending on who you talk to, the information you read, whatever else, there's so many different things out there. We have to get used to the idea that this is probably going to be part of our lives forever. They're probably going to come up with treatments, vaccines, natural resistances to it, much like we have with flu and other viruses and illnesses. I mean, it's just going to be part of things the way they are from now on, most likely.
Yeah, and to your point, there are here in Florida, apparently they reopened some beaches and they were flooded the next day. I guess for as many people as are still being cautious about it and like, not yet, it's not ready, I'm still scared. There are just as many people who are ready to rush out into public and go to hell with it because they want their normal lives back. So maybe that won't matter.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just keep an eye on this and see if Warner Bros. Is willing to take the chance to release the movie and if people are going to show up. But if I had to put some money, I'd say it gets bumped again to a little bit safer because it's going to be a full year before we get another DC film in theaters. So Wonder Woman 1984 currently slated for August 14th, and then the next one with the new lineup isn't until The Suicide Squad, which is August 6th of 2021, so almost a full year later. This one seems to be keeping its same release date because it's already been shot. They're in post-production. James Gunn says that they are still on track and still on schedule, so this one has not moved.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, and that gives us, that's a whole nother year for things to go, quote-unquote, back to normal, and to your point, whatever that looks like. We don't know, but... so this one is staying put August 6th.
And the other thing to consider with the movie releases and big business such as that, there's going to be a lot of places that open before other places. Like Indiana is going to be open for business May 1st. You book my words. Unless something tragic happens in the next week, the state of Indiana is open and running for business. I don't expect California and New York are going to be open and running on May 1st.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying?
And May 1st is less than a week now.
Yeah, it's not the same situation there that it is here. Not by a damn sight. Mm-hmm. Not even close. So is it more beneficial for them to release a movie when Indiana and Michigan and Ohio and places like that are able to go and people in California and New York are not? Because that doesn't make a lot of sense either. So, I would imagine they want to do it where everybody can get in on it at once, and unless they're going to switch to this whole home VOD model.
Right. That's The Suicide Squad. The Batman, now October 1st of 2021. I want to come back to that one because this is the Batman show. So that got bumped from June to October 1st. Black Adam is now scheduled for December 22nd of 2021. So we've got 3 DC movies like in pretty quick succession there. August, Suicide Squad, October, Batman, and December, Black Adam.
I'm here to tell you right now, I would switch Batman with one of those other 2. I would not keep it on the October date.
And why is that?
August, you'll at least get the tail end of the summer movie season. December, you'll get the Christmas movie season. October, and I'm not saying it can't be extremely successful because obviously we saw Joker can, but every dollar is going to count, especially on a movie that's that big. I would switch Batman to Christmas that would probably, I don't want to wait longer to see it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, but business perspective, I would put Batman at that Christmas date and move Black Adam back to October.
A Batman movie in December would be awesome.
I would respectfully disagree. I think Batman is an event no matter where you put him. And as you said, Joker this year, they essentially put it in the Joker slot. Joker showed that you can have $1 billion movie that opens the first week of October. And if what we're hearing about the budget of the Batman is correct, they don't really have anything to worry about.
And I'm not saying they do, and I'm not saying it won't be successful. I'm sure it will, but
Black Adam needs the Christmas bump because Black Adam isn't a marquee character. Batman wouldn't need the Christmas bump. Batman is a big enough deal in October that it doesn't matter.
Okay.
That's just my.
That's fair. You're not
I
wrong.
can see both sides of that.
I just my perspective of it is you're absolutely right, and you're probably righter than me because you're way better at this box office stuff than I am. We know that from experience. But my perspective was a lot more people can get multiple viewings in on a summer break or a Christmas break than they can in October. But with Batman, they'll find a way.
Right. No, I do understand that. Yeah, I do understand that. So anyway, Black Adam, Christmas of 2021, Shazam 2 now almost a year later, November 4th of 2022. So this one I feel like is good and bad. Like it's kind of a bummer because it's pushed that much further out. But I think what works for it is that this was originally going to be spring of 22. By bumping it to fall, I don't know. I think that you're getting closer to the Thanksgiving holiday, and I think this one will have an easier time with family audiences in November of 2022. But I just think that now it's going to be a much longer wait between Black Adam and Shazam 2.
Those kids are going to be a hell of a lot grown up.
Yeah, they're going to have to stick with the grown Shazam.
Did you see David Ayer's tweet about that?
No.
It was cool. Yeah, someone... Not David Ayer. Why did I say David Ayer? You know what I mean. David Sandberg. David Sandberg. David Sandberg. So yeah, somebody tweeted him because he got on top of this. He tweeted out, "Yep, new release date Shazam 2, November 4th, 2022." And someone tweeted him with, "Oh, those kids are going to be." Oh no, I think what they asked is they said, "Oh, are you going to try to de-age the kids like they did in It Chapter 2?" And he said. There's no rule that says the kids have to stay the same age. So if he's writing Shazam 2 that the appropriate amount of time has passed since Shazam 1, then there's no reason the kids can't be a little older. So he's already planning for it, I guess is the point, which is good.
Valid point. Yeah, I like the perspective. This guy's got a grip and he knows what's going on.
And then The Flash moved up a week. To June 3rd of 2022. So, to go back to like what we talked about recently about the incident with Ezra Miller and whether that was going to be an issue and what the heck happened and the Flash movie is doomed and blah, 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 blah. The fact that they moved it up for a week, to me, seems like this would have been their chance to remove it from the schedule or delay it again. And the fact that they moved it up a week, to me, seems like they're like, no, we're making this movie. And I think that they're doing what I thought they were doing, which is the Ezra Miller video was only a big deal if they make it a big deal, so they just let it go.
And there's been no talk of that since that week
none.
that it dropped.
Yeah. So I think that they were just like, nope, let sleeping dogs lie, let Twitter have a little freak out. They'll move on to something else in 2 days, which of course they have, and just leave it be.
The Twitter, any comments that I've seen about, movies and casting has been more about Mera than anything to do with Ezra Miller.
Yeah. So, The Flash is still on the schedule. Fingers crossed. I really hope we get to see this movie someday. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope it happens.
It's ironic that a movie about the fastest man alive is taking its sweet ass time.
Yeah, isn't it ironic?
I've had this thing on my Young Justice season 3 level for some time now. Yeah. I'm not going to believe it exists until I see a trailer.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't blame you. So it did get moved up, so that is now June 3rd, 2022, and then Aquaman 2 is still Christmas season, December 16th of 2022. So I don't know if that changed or if that's still the date that it was, but anyway, it's still essentially where it was.
I think Aquaman should move to an Easter date so that it can coincide with all the fish sandwiches that are at these fast food restaurants, because I want Aquaman tie-ins with a fillet of fish. That's all I'm saying.
Heck yeah. The Aquaman fillet of fish value meal. I'm in. Come with a cool glass. Looks like it's made out of like seashells or something. So anyway, back to the Batman. So the Batman is now an October movie, which is odd. I will give you that. Because Batman has always been a summer movie. I'm trying to think of every Batman movie since Batman '89 has been a summer movie. Yes? Well, I guess Batman v Superman. That was spring.
They've all come out between May and July.
Yeah, Batman v Superman was March, so that's the outlier.
Technically not.
But do you count that as a Batman? Yeah, like it's a Batman movie, but it isn't. Kind of same with Justice League. Okay, Justice League was November, so those two are a little more gray area, I guess. But a Batman solo movie has always been in the summer, and so to move it to October is a little weird, but
not if it's a long Halloween story, though.
Yeah, it's the first thing I thought
exactly.
of when they moved the date. I was like, Andy, it's going to be a Halloween movie. Well, like, you know, maybe not a Halloween movie, but it's coming out in October.
Hell yeah. Well, except here's the thing, is before everything shut down, there were set photos that had pumpkins in front of doorways, and so I do think that at least part of this movie is set during Halloween. I don't know if the whole movie is, like, we don't know how long the movie spans, but there at least are scenes that take place during Halloween because I saw pumpkins and I was psyched. And we also know that there's a motorcycle chase in a cemetery, which also sounds nice and Halloween-y to me.
It has that whole Batman versus Dracula feel now.
Hey, if this is truly set during Halloween and they're releasing it in October, for me that's amazing. Like, I'm all into it. Like, I've been asking for a true blue Halloween Batman movie for years now, and like, yeah, I'll take the two scenes in Batman Forever, and I'll take Batman versus Dracula. I'll take those because that's all I got right now. But for something that leans into Halloween even heavier with Batman, oh, sounds like heaven. And to have it released in Halloween season, hell yeah, Jamie, I will make the time to go see it 4 or 5 times. Trust me.
Oh, I heard you.
No matter where I am.
Think about it, Andy, as well. Like, there's a possibility that you'll have Batman and Michael Myers in the cinema at the same time.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's
because
true.
If things stay to schedule, Halloween Ends should be coming out that month as well.
2 of my true loves.
Mm-hmm.
I could do a double feature.
Yeah, seriously, like,
great.
there's a possibility that could happen.
Yeah, you're right. This is an excellent point. It's going to be a good Halloween for me. So yeah, I have no concerns about them moving the release date. I think it's fine. It's understandable. You know, they had to reshuffle the entire schedule like every studio has had to do. And it sucks that there's a delay. It sucks we've got to wait a little longer, of course, because we want it now. But it's not that much longer, and if the movie is thematically appropriate to autumn anyway, then that, to me, is just a bonus. That's awesome. And there is someone, oh man, I want to say it was one of the screenwriters when this happened, tweeted out that it, quote-unquote, fits the mood of the film.
Bring it.
So, I'm not concerned. Again, a little bummed it's going to be that much longer, but I think in the end, the movie will succeed and fail on its own merits. And a Batman movie for Halloween, I have no problem with it.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Ridiculous having a movie about people dressing up in various costumes and creature-looking things coming out around Halloween. How dare they?
I know.
I mean, they don't release horror movies around Halloween anymore. What the hell?
Well, we're getting Michael Myers for the next 2 Halloweens because of that. Thank God, because for a few years, they kept releasing Halloween movies that literally had Halloween in the title in the summer, and it drove me nuts. Anyway, more as it develops. You know, none of it's bad news. It's just the state of the way things are right now, and we'll see how it progresses. So we will tell you more when we learn more. But until then, guys, you should be watching your Batman stuff wherever you can. And that includes on DC Universe or on your Blu-rays or DVDs or wherever you get your Batman content. And so we have continued to watch Batman Beyond, right, Brendan?
Yep.
So anyway, this time we all lined up, and it is time for us to review not 1, but 2 more episodes of Batman Beyond. All right, so last time we faked you guys out. Not really intentionally. We thought we were going to review an episode, but we didn't, there was a little break in communication, which happens to all couples.
There wasn't a break in
Brendan,
communication.
it's just something we got to discuss with the therapist.
I just completely screwed up where I was at in the list.
Brendan, you just don't listen to me, is the problem. You're too busy thinking about what you're going to say next, and you don't listen to me. You don't care about my needs, my feelings. We're going to have a lot to discuss, okay?
It's just funny because I'm a giver.
Okay, so last
So the episodes we had to watch for today were Rats and Mind Games, yeah? Because that's what I watched.
No, Brandon. Okay.
Wait, we were supposed to watch Batman Beyond for this? Why didn't anybody tell me I was supposed to do that?
Well, you watched it last week for the last episode.
Yeah, I know. Y'all tripped me up and got me all kinds of messed up there. Yeah.
You weren't the only one. I got a couple tweets that was like, yeah, I went and watched the next episode because you guys said you were going to review it, and then you didn't. And I'm like, sorry. So I watched Once Burned, which was the next one, and then Brendan skipped over it and watched Hooked Up. So this time I'm like, well, let's do them both and get them out of the way, and then we're all back on the same page. So, Once Burned, okay? This is the one I started introing last time, and then that was when Brendan was like, wait a minute, I didn't watch that. Once Burned. It is the return of 10 from the Royal Flush Game. 10, also known as Melanie. So she's like trying to rob from the super high stakes poker tournament, and we see that she is back, but she is not with her family. Batman, Terry McGinnis, of course, intervenes, stops her, and she's like, no, it's not what it looks like. I'm not, and he believes her. Bruce is like, you shouldn't believe her, dude. I've done this before. And he's like, no, I swear, she's telling the truth. And Bruce is like, okay, we'll see. So she shows up in his bedroom, Melanie, so forward. And so Terry like wants to give her the benefit of the doubt. And she says, yeah, the Jokers have my family. I've got to get this ransom money. That's why I was stealing from this poker game. And so he decides he's going to help her. She doesn't know that Terry and Batman are the same person. So Batman is going to help her, but he's like, no more stealing, but I'll help you get your family back. And they attack the Joker's hideout. And when they go in, they realize the Royal Flush Gang is not there. She ditches Batman. So Batman gets stuck with all the Jokers all by himself. Bruce has to bail him out because Bruce was following where he was. And we find out that the Jokers didn't steal the Royal Flush Gang. They were setting her up. They were essentially testing her loyalty after what happened in the first episode that we saw her in season 1. And being like, we weren't sure we could trust you. We weren't sure you were loyal to us, but you went and you stole all this money for us. And so, now we know we can trust you. And so they get into it. Batman brings Batman brings the people from the poker game to the Royal Flush Gang and the cops. So the Royal Flush Gang gets arrested, and 10 gets away. And so the whole time, like, Terry is kind of torn between, do I give Melanie another chance? What about my girlfriend Dana? There's a certain point where 10 gives him a note for Terry, gives Batman a note for Terry, and at the end, Terry, instead of reading it, just throws it away and stays with Dana. So that is Once Burned. It aired on November 6th of 1999. It was directed by Butch Lukic and written by Stan Berkowitz. So, Brendan, now that you've watched it, what were your thoughts on this episode?
It was okay. It was a decent episode. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was enjoyable. I liked the sort of the romantic tension, or I don't know if you call it tension, but I guess the romantic subplot of Melanie and Terry. Like, that was kind of, when he starts macking on her in his bedroom, I was like, oh, because he's obviously got a girlfriend. That took me by surprise a little bit. I as a rule, I don't enjoy the Royal Flush Gang as villains. However, they get a pass in this show because George Lazenby voices King. And
did you see who voices Queen?
Yep, Sarah Douglas.
Sarah Douglas, yeah.
So that's
I know the name, but I can't place why.
She's Ursa from Superman the movie and Superman 2.
Oh. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do like the progression of the involvement of Max as well. Mm-hmm. Of Maxine sort of becoming his sidekick, but we can talk more about that in the next episode. So yeah, all in all, it wasn't too bad. I liked it.
All right, Jamie, what about you?
They so desperately want this girl to be Terry's Catwoman. I think I've made my thoughts and opinions about Catwoman and Batman's relationship known over the course of the last several years that you've all listened. So I'm not digging this any more than I'm digging that. I don't really
first of all, because it's me and it's been a while since I podcasted, I'm going to go straight to the end and say that's an awful lot of shit to go through to test somebody's loyalty to be in your gang. I mean, it just seems extravagant to me somehow.
Well, and she's their daughter, so they're going through all that for their daughter.
Worse yet.
Yeah.
I don't hate the episode. I just didn't care about most of it. I mean, it was fine. It wasn't great. I got to say, just kind of in retrospect, as I've been watching these episodes along with you guys, Max is by far my favorite addition to this show since it's kicked off. I think she's great, and I love her character, and I just love pretty much everything about her. And as Brendan said, we'll get into her a lot more in the next episode. But again, I thought this one was fine. I don't think there's anything remarkable about it. I don't think there's anything particularly off-putting about it. Just a couple of nitpicks, but it is what it is. Kind of a middle-of-the-road episode for me.
All right. I really like this one. I thought this one was great. I really like this version of the Royal Flush Gang. I'm not a huge fan of them in like the present, but here for the Batman Beyond version of the Royal Flush Gang, I think is really cool. Like, I love their designs. I think they're cool villains, so I really like them, and I like the way they set up Terry and Ten. I get what you're saying, Jamie, about her essentially being like the Catwoman, but I like it. I think it's pretty cool. I like that it's a nice continuation of something that we had seen in season 1, and a logical continuation of these two that had a connection, and he just never knows whether or not to trust her. So I like it. I think the action is all pretty good. I really liked the new character, the female character in the poker game, and her name was Lula.
Did she not look like Red Claw to you?
She kind of looked like Red Claw, exactly. Red outfit, black hair, and like a white streak through her hair. She was voiced by Daphne Zuniga, most famous from Spaceballs, of course. Yeah. And I just thought she was the coolest looking, Princess Vespa. Just what we need, a Druish princess. But I loved the way she looked, and I hope that she comes back, because I just think there's a lot of potential there. That she doesn't get a lot to do in this, but she so stood out to me as like a cool character design, and then to get, a recognizable voice actor, I'm like, I hope that they've got plans for her, because I thought she could be a really cool villain moving forward. So I really liked her, and I liked that it involved the Royal Flush Gang and the Jokers, and then Batman being stuck in the middle. And I also thought it was interesting in that Terry's like, I want to trust her, and Bruce is like, you can't trust her. I've done this before. Trust me. And in the end, they were both right, which I thought was an interesting way of doing it. So for me, I thought it was a really good episode. And I agree with both of you. I think Max is awesome. She's a great character. I love how her role has been growing. She doesn't have much in this episode, but even the scene that she does have where she's helping track down 10 and the Jokers, or she's tracking down the poker game actually for Terry. I like that she's a confidant to Terry, and Terry's very honest about what's going on with 10, and she goes, well, you need to figure it out because it's not fair to Dana. And it's super straightforward and no nonsense, but like the right amount. And I thought that was very cool. Like a friend sometimes you need the friend to be super honest with you to get your head right, which I thought was cool. So for me, I thought this was a really strong episode. I liked it. All right, letter grades. Brendan.
B.
Jamie.
C.
And I'll give it an A. So we've got an A, a B, and a C for Once Burned. So, all right. Apparently your mileage may vary. All right, next one up is Hooked Up, and this is the return of Spellbinder. I will say that's one of the things I like about where we are now in the middle of season 2, in that now we're getting the returns of a lot of these villains, and so they're able to have a little more fun and do different things with the villains instead of us just getting origins every time. So this is the return of Spellbinder. If you remember, he could essentially control you by putting you in a dream state. And what he has done is he has created a way to do that, but in a positive way. He can put you in a dream state and essentially let you like live out your wildest dreams in sort of a dream state VR, where you're also like levitating, so you have complete freedom of movement. And so he's gotten a bunch of these kids and he's given them this. Essentially, he's like, I can give you your wildest dreams. You just need to go out and be able to pay me. And so these kids get hooked on this, and they're out there and they're stealing so they can get hooked back in to this. I don't even know if they called it anything, but essentially get hooked back into their dreams. So one of the kids had gone missing from Terry's school, and Terry recognized him and saw him stealing, and so this kind of leads him down the rabbit hole, and he and Max track down what happened. Max is like, I want to be more involved, I want to help more, and she is really angling to be the sidekick, and Terry's like, no, like I can't drag you into this any more than you already are, and she's like, I can be useful, and so he's sort of trying to keep her from being more involved, but she's very persistent. But because she knows this kid's family, she's able to take a front seat to this whole investigation. And so eventually, though, these kids have to go out and recruit more kids, because the longer they do this, they sort of end up as a vegetable, like sort of comatose. And so as that happens, they need more kids to go in here to do this. And they're out there recruiting, and they see Max. They recruit Max. And because she so wants to be involved in this, even though Terry's like, no, it's not safe, you can't do it, she's persistent that she's going to. So she starts getting a little bit hooked on this. And we learn more about her family life. Essentially, she doesn't have much of a family life. And so her dream is essentially to have like this happy, supportive, loving family that she doesn't really get in real life. And so she gets hooked in there. Batman comes in, realizes it's Spellbinder, and so she sort of has to choose between helping Batman or going back into this dream. She, of course, chooses to help Batman. She saves him. She defeats Spellbinder. And so now she's a little bit more of a partner to Terry, and he's like, all right, but we're going to take it slow. So that is Hooked Up. Brandon, thoughts on this one?
This one I really liked. I mean, it gets bonus points because it features the voice of Max from a Goofy movie. Did you pick up on that?
Jason Marsden. Yep, Jason Marsden.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, it gets bonus points for that, but I just thought it was a really cool story, and I've liked the introduction of the Max character since she came into it a few episodes ago, and this one really progresses that relationship, so that was what I really enjoyed the most from it. Spellbinder is one of those characters, though, where you still have issues as far as, like, I've said a million times, I just don't like the villains in this show, and I really don't like the design of the character. It's just, like, I don't know. It's like what you would get, like, maybe a 10-year-old to, you know, draw a villain, and this is what I think they'd sort of come up with. It's a bit too much for me. But no, it was good, and I liked sort of the Ready Player One aspect of it as well, with, you know, going into the VR world and living their dreams through there. The character of Donnie at the start, who's, you know, living the fantasy of the rock star and everything, and when sort of, you know, you see him get into the limo with those 3 or 4 girls, I had that moment of like, holy shit, like, sort of where is this going to stop? Like,
right. How far are we going with this?
Yeah. Michael Rosenbaum was back in this episode as well, which for me I thought was odd because I thought it was 2 episodes in a row, but it actually wasn't when I watched this. But no, I liked it. It was very entertaining.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I do agree with you about Spellbinder's design, and I think we talked about that the first time we met him, is that, like, yeah, I don't like the way he looks, but I do like that the way they used the character and his abilities to do something different with him in this episode.
He reminds me of, do you remember, I can't remember if it's Nowhere Man or Everywhere Man, the Brendan Routh voiced in The Batman. The design kind of reminds me of that, except it's like turned up to 20.
I don't remember
I look
that.
at this and think of him as like a futuristic onomatopoeia.
Yeah, it's got that onomatopoeia look to it as well.
Yeah.
Which I think this actually predates onomatopoeia. But...
Yeah, it does.
Well, maybe that's where it came from. I'm going to see Nowhere Man, the Batman.
I can't remember if it's Nowhere Man or Everywhere Man, but it's similar. But it's, you know, this is like a much wackier version.
Right. Jamie, what about you?
As they kind of started opening up the story of this one, I sort of felt to myself, because I'm a cynic and I'm not the biggest fan of this show, oh great, we're going to have a melodramatic ABC after-school special. But as it progressed into the story, and really got into things. I got to tell you, I think this is one of the most real addiction stories you could ever hope to find in an animated TV episode. They really brought a lot of that to the forefront. And I mean, you guys discussed over the last few episodes a lot of dark elements that the show's dealt with, like the zombie guy that was controlling the trees underground or whatever that was 5-6 episodes back. And, so some of these other things, I mean, it's pretty dark stuff for a kid's show. And this, I really feel like, was a dark episode in that respect, but in a different way. Like, this isn't so much scary as it is just a very serious cautionary tale about addiction and what it can mean to somebody, especially somebody young, and especially somebody who doesn't really understand it until it's too late. Very, very much so. Like, take Max as the example prime here. She didn't think it was a big deal, and she had no fear of it or anything else. And then she tried it, and then it became too late. You follow my train of thought here? It just knowing as many people as I have in my life that have struggled with addictions in my family and friends and everything else that I've had in my life, this, I'm not going to say this, hit home and I just felt it, but I appreciated the fact that they took it as seriously as they did, telling it in the way that they did for, a futuristic VR thing instead of crack or heroin or alcohol or something along those lines. You know what I'm saying? So in that respect, I really, I'm not crazy about Spellbinder either. I don't, I don't even remember his first episode, honestly. I mean, I vaguely remember the appearance, but I don't really remember what translated. So
I don't remember him either.
So obviously, I'm going to say it's not memorable, but that could just be because I'm old and I don't remember shit anyway.
It's been a while.
The real villain here is the actual addiction itself, and that's the part that I really liked about it, and I really think. I mean, just to go ahead and show my hand now, I think this is one of the best episodes of the show I've seen yet.
Yeah, and I think that you bring up such a good point is that you're like, oh, this is going to be the after school special episode. And there was another one that I felt that way about too, where it was like, I think it was the Slappers or something, where like it was essentially like the steroid that they would use to play their game. And I was like, oh no, this is an after school special one, and it ended up being a lot better than I expected. And I feel the same way here. It could have gotten too much, a little too preachy, a little too like, oh, drugs are bad, okay, but they never quite go there. But it's there in a very smart way, but they don't go that far down it. It's still a good story in and of itself without getting too preachy. So I like that they're able to reach that very delicate balance. It works for me. So
I was just going to say they do a really nice job of giving solid, realistic motivations of how these young people get involved in these addictive situations and why they want to maintain it, and they don't care that they're in these addictive situations because of that escapism that they feel that their real life drives them towards. Again, I think this was really well done. Definite high marks to the whoever wrote this episode, because they clearly have had some experience somewhere in their life that really was allowing them to tell the story the way that they did. Maybe not personally, but I bet they knew somebody who was in these situations. I can't praise it enough for the way that it presented these things, both for the motivations and for the general seriousness of it. I mean, it didn't shy away from any of that. And I just, for an animated 22-minute episode about a superhero in the future that was made 21 years ago, bravo. I applaud it completely.
Yeah. And I love it for a couple of reasons. Like we talked about, I love the character of Max, and the fact that this is a very Max-centric episode and they're really putting her out into the forefront, I think is great because we're learning more about her, and I think she's just awesome. And then at the same time, I think that it's a very clever use of Spellbinder. Instead of his first appearance was just a little more run-of-the-mill, and I remember us being like, oh, okay, so he's kind of like the Scarecrow, where he's putting these people in nightmares, which is very similar to like a fear toxin. And I think this is a much more interesting way to use Spellbinder. And to your point, I also think they do a very good job of showing how attractive that dream world is. Like you can literally, if you go in here, you literally get to have whatever you want. And who wouldn't want that? How is that not attractive? And so, it's a very fitting, parallel to to other types of addiction. So I think it's all done very well. So I agree with you guys. I think this is a great one.
I mean, I had a very good friend of mine that I went to high school with who had very, very strong substance addiction problems to a lot of stuff, alcohol, drugs, everything else. And he wound up going to rehab, and he came out of rehab, and we were very close back then. And I talked to him about it. I was like, how did you get involved? It was crack. He was literally on crack. Not a joke, not an exaggeration. He was on crack. And he said, I tried it once, and it was such an amazing experience for me that any time after that, you could have had me naked in the street in the middle of winter. But if I had a pipe, a rock, and a lighter, I could have been the happiest person you knew.
Wow.
Yeesh. Wow.
So I've seen firsthand the kind of things that these addictions have with people where they don't give a shit if they have to steal. They don't give a shit if they have to live in a not real world. They just want to be on that high or on that feeling just so that they don't have to feel reality. So again, I cannot say enough positive things about this episode.
It's crazy.
Yeah. All right, letter grade, Brendan.
I'm giving this one an A because, and this is the thing, I was a little bit gutted that what happened last week happened, because the week prior, like, we did 2 episodes and I kind of crapped on both because I genuinely didn't like them, and to bounce back with this one, I was very pleasantly surprised. So yeah, I really dug this episode. It was great.
All right, cool. Jamie?
Copy and paste for me on that. It's an A.
Nice. I give it an A too, but I'm surprised. This might be the first one where all 3 of us give it an A. Could be. Well, that one's hooked up. That one aired on November 13th of 1999, directed by Dan Reba and written by Robert Goodman. I will say, like I said it previously, but for me, I feel like this is where the show, I think, is really hitting its stride. Because for me, I just feel like season 2 is just more consistently strong than season 1 was. So I feel like they're finding their footing here. But if you guys are following along, the next one up is Rats. Rats. That's what Brendan will say when he watches the wrong one. Rats.
It's not what I'll say, but I just don't want you to have to edit.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
I was just going to say, some of us aren't that considerate of Andy's time. Those of us who let F-bombs fly in the middle of the episode.
Well, a few episodes ago, Brendan wasn't either, and so then he's been better ever since.
Although, to be fair, you set the tone early with what you were calling me. I just kind of forgot.
It's usually like once, though. That was a lot on that one.
I know.
All right, so anyway, now let's check in with you fine folks as we crack open the Wayne Manor mailbox. It's time again for the Wayne Manor mailbox.
You've got mail.
Derek, what is a letter for me?
Maybe temporary.
She wrote a letter.
You're one hell of a messenger. This is all, Master Wayne.
All right, just got a few here. This is kind of a fun one. This one is from Eddie Bolton. It says, "Hey guys, I hope you're well. Here is a tricky question for you. Your Desert Island discs. You can only save 3 songs or pieces of music from any Batman score or soundtrack. Which 3 do you save to listen to endlessly? My 3 would be Descent into Mystery, Danny Elfman from Batman 89. Number 2, Rise, Hans Zimmer from The Dark Knight Rises. And number 3, The End is the Beginning is the End, The Smashing Pumpkins, Batman and Robin." He says, "Say what you will about Warner at that time, they couldn't produce a good Batman film, but damn it if they didn't provide a hell of a soundtrack. Thanks for all the podcasts during this time, Eddie." All right, thanks, Eddie. And this, you're right, this is a tricky one. Oh man, but it's tough. But what the hell? Let's do it. 3 pieces of music from any Batman film. Jamie.
Vicky Waiting. And
Yes, Lemon Crush.
Lemon Crush is a banger.
the 89 main theme. Beautiful Lie. Probably something off of Dark Knight Rises, because I really like that soundtrack a lot, but I'm terrible with track titles with that stuff, so I wouldn't be able to place it.
This was an easy one for me.
Oh, Brendan. All right, go for it.
Yeah, and I'm not normally a scores guy, but the main '89 theme, "Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me," and "Like a Dog Chasing Cars" from Dark Knight. That is my favorite piece of Batman music
That's a good
ever.
one.
Really?
Oh, that's a good
Oh,
one.
mate, I love it. I love it so much.
This is hard, but I'll go with the three that jump to mind. It's the main title theme from Batman '89. It is Final Confrontation / finale from Batman Returns.
That's pretty good.
Because the tragic Penguin music when he dies is one of my favorite pieces of Batman music. It's so good. And then Molossus from Batman Begins, which is essentially
it's the theme.
it's like the dog chasing cars track. Yeah, from Batman Begins. It's so good.
Yeah.
So, good question, Eddie. I wish I could pick 10 more tracks, but okay, that'll have to do. All right, next message is from Weston Craig. It says, "Hey guys, I've been listening to Holy BatCast for a while, and I've been wondering, what are your actual jobs? I know that you travel and you've lived in China. What do you actually do? What does Brendan do? What does Jamie do?" Also, I've never made a Twitter. Is Holy BatCast worth getting a Twitter? Thanks, Weston. Last question, yes. You should set up a Twitter and follow only Holy BatCast. Follow only us, because that would just make me laugh. Of like the only feed would just be whatever I tweet and retweet. But yes, I would say it's worth getting a Twitter, at least to follow like the podcast that you like and stuff. It can also be very frustrating, so only follow people who don't frustrate you, which is a lesson I still haven't learned. So actual jobs, Brendan, do you want to share?
Yeah. I work for the Postal Service here in Australia. I'm not out on the front lines delivering or anything, but I am in the customer contact center, where it used to just be all day where I would take calls with people, with issues, trying to find parcels or complaints and that kind of stuff. Usual contact center bullshit. But since November last year, my role has changed. I'm now in a back office role, so I'm sort of doing online cases only, which has been really handy the last 6. About to start my 7th week of work from home, so I just able to sort of sit in my little sort of computer nook at home with my laptop and work through online cases like I would be at work. So and I'm very, I have to be honest, I'll take the moment, I'm very thankful to work for the postal system at the moment, because it is certainly an essential service. Prior to getting that job in 2017, I had only ever worked in retail, which would be a lot harder to do at the moment if I even still had a job. So I postal service worker.
All right, good call. Yeah, right now we still need you guys very badly.
I am actually a high-ranking lieutenant in an international drug cartel.
Wonderful.
I mean, I wish I made that kind
Professional hitman.
Yeah, I'd wind up being like the Grosse Point Blank guy. Yeah.
Exactly.
Tell everybody I do that for a living, and nobody believes me. My father and I and another guy that we're partners with own a small used car dealership.
Yeah. All right.
Really exciting.
Andy is a gigolo.
Damn it, Brandon!
I am. That's why I'm starving.
Make social distancing really hard.
I know. I'm hurting so bad right now.
Well, listen. If you are a gigolo and you can maintain social distancing right now, wow, that's impressive. I mean, John Holt, eat your heart out, okay?
Him and Liam Neeson.
Why Liam Neeson? I don't get the reference.
That's a running gag on Kevin Smith's podcast network, because allegedly, Liam Neeson is hung like a racehorse on steroids.
Oh.
Yeah,
apparently. I didn't know that.
I believe it was Janice Dickinson that gave the quote that said the thing looks like an Evian bottle.
Wow. The more
they
you
actually
know.
had a whole segment on Hollywood Babylon about Liam Neeson's cock is so big.
How big is it? Like, that's still how they close every episode.
Is it? Okay. I haven't listened in years, but yeah.
I had no idea, but good on him.
Good old Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, good for him. That's what
His
allows
penis is
true
actually named the
immortality.
League of Shadows.
No, so for real, I'm a producer for Universal Creative, and we are building a brand new theme park in Beijing. And so I'm the producer on one of the lands in that theme park. And so that's what I did with Disney for a lot of years, and now I'm doing it for Universal, which is why I moved to China, because we're building a new theme park in China. So that's what I do. But thanks for taking an interest in this, Weston. Appreciate it. All right, next message here is from Reverend Fraser. It says, "Hey, Holy BatCast family, do you think Kristen Wiig as Barbara Minerva will turn into her full cheetah form at the climax of Wonder Woman 1984? Also, we've been getting a lot of Spider-Man questions. It says, what are your top 5 favorite Spider-Man villains?" All right, Reverend. So what do you think? You think Kristen Wiig will turn into her full cheetah form at the climax of Wonder Woman 1984, Jamie?
Absolutely, without question.
If you've seen the pictures of the pop vinyls for the movie, I'm saying definitely.
Oh, are they out now?
I've seen, the photos for them. Someone sent me them like almost a week and a half ago.
I never saw
Yeah, the pictures are out of the pop vinyls. I haven't seen the actual pop vinyls, but yeah, the photos are out there. So she'll absolutely be full cheetah by the climax. I hope she'll be full cheetah a little bit prior to that, though. And then top 5 Spider-Man villains, Jamie?
Venom is unquestionably number 1. Venom is actually my second favorite Marvel character behind Thanos. Carnage right behind him. Green Goblin probably right behind him, just because Green Goblin is effectively Spider-Man's Joker. By the way, the question that you answered last week about which Spider-Man villain we want to see go in the Batman universe, Green Goblin is unquestionably the correct answer to that question.
Woohoo!
Let's see, number 4. I almost have to say Hobgoblin, just because I've always loved the way he looked, especially the way Todd McFarlane drew him in the early 90s. I just thought his look was absolutely fantastic. And closing it out, I'd probably have to say either Scorpion or Rhino. I mean, Scorpion I just always thought looked amazing, but Rhino, I just have a thing for big, dumb, hulking, strong people. So probably a tie between those two for number 5.
Nice. Brendan?
This is a tough one because I don't know the characters as well as you guys. Like, I've never read the comics. I'm basing it pretty much just off of the movies. I guess in no particular order. I mean, I think again, based on the movies, I think my favorite would probably be Doc Ock, Green Goblin. Can I say Kingpin? Because I know he crosses over a lot.
I think that counts.
Kingpin is technically a Spider-Man villain, so yeah.
Yeah, Kingpin.
For sure.
Who else have we got in there? That's a tough one. Can I leave it at 3? I just don't know the characters well enough to sort of to give 5.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Don't worry. It's not a Spider-Man show. You're okay.
If we're going by movies, Dr. Octopus would have been number 1 for me, by the way, because I love that movie and I love that character in that movie.
For me, it would be Green Goblin and Dr. Octopus. I feel like those are the big two, you know. And then I would say Scorpion. Like you said, Jamie, I always thought Scorpion was super cool. And then, okay, this is going to be a weird one, but Tarantula, I always liked him too. And then Black Cat.
Black Cat, you say?
Yes, Black Cat.
Yeah, I can see it, I guess. I mean, that's basically his Catwoman, so.
Right. And I love her look. I think it's so cool.
You know what? The fur on the top of the boots always bothered me with her. I don't know why. It just, around the neck stuff never bothered me, but the fur on top of the boots just drove me nuts. Don't ever try to make sense of it.
Fair enough.
Don't.
All right, next message from Nicholas Zednick. It says, "Hey guys, I'm curious to know which one actor, past or present, you think would have made a great Batman. For me, it's John Hamm. And what is your favorite Batman costume in comics, TV, film, or animation? Stay safe. Kind regards, Nick Zednick." Thanks, Nick. All right, so one actor who you think would have been a great Batman and your favorite Batman costume in any media. Brendan?
Costume. It's still hard to go past Affleck's costume in BVS.
It's just so perfect. Actor that could have played the role. I still think Josh Brolin, actually, because I know he was rumored for BVS,
okay.
and that's who my pick was. And yeah, I still think he'd make a really good Batman, actually, if you're playing sort of that aged grizzled Bruce. Yeah, Brolin.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I can find like the perfect dream actor, but honestly, right along, I've kind of been sad that we're probably never going to see that Armie Hammer Batman come to fruition, because I think he's got the size and the look, and I think he's got range with his acting where he really could have brought something to it, but we're probably never going to know now. But yeah, that's kind of the missed opportunity one that I can think of anyway. Costume wise, I mean, as Brendan said, it's really hard to top Affleck's either of his suits from BVS, which obviously are heavily influenced by my favorite Batman comic book, being The Dark Knight Returns, which I love the look of the costumes in that as well. So,
all right, I think though the one actor who I think would have been a great Batman, and it's not particularly original. It's one of those fan casts that a lot of people wanted. Karl Urban. I think Karl Urban would have been a great Batman.
Yeah.
And favorite costume, I'll go comics, which and I'll say like the Neil Adams blue and gray costume, just because that's how Batman looked when I fell in love with Batman. So if I'm going comic books, it would be that one. On film, yeah, I guess I agree with the guys. It's probably Ben Affleck's. All right, next email is old Stuart from Guernsey. It says, hey, so glad you finally got around to reading Nightwing: The New Order. It's become my favorite Elseworlds story. Do you remember mailing you about a year and a half ago recommending the book and making comparisons to the art to Masters of the Universe? So glad you picked up on it. I don't think it was a mistake, as there were several nods to the art style in it. Is there any chance you would do a review now that you finished it, or even a mini review as a bonus episode? Anyway, I hope you're doing well, staying safe. Stuart. Thanks, Stuart. So yeah, recently, one of those things I was talking about, I read a bunch of stuff on DC Universe. Someone had recommended Nightwing: The New Order. Have you guys read this? I just read it. It was very interesting.
I don't believe I have, no.
is that the 12-issue series that just came out in the last couple of years?
No, it was only 6 issues on DC Universe, but it was pretty recent. It was Kyle Higgins, and yes, it was kind of an Elseworlds future story about Nightwing. He was much older, and he had a son, and so it was a future. It was kind of trying to be his Dark Knight Returns, if you will, of 20 or 30 years in the future and what's going on with Nightwing then.
I see. I think it is the one I'm thinking of. I just made a mistake on the number count there. But I knew it was coming out, and it was coming out at the time when I was buying damn near everything that had to do with the capes and the DC publishing world. But I was so blah on the main Nightwing book, I just passed over that one.
Got it.
Sounds like I made a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, well, now that you've got DC Universe, you can check it out.
Yes.
But I really liked it. I thought it was very cool.
What's it called?
It's called Nightwing: The New Order.
Yeah, I mean, I can always check it out on Comixology in the future if it's something you want to do for the show.
Yeah, check it out. So, I mean, yeah, real quick review. I thought it was great. It was fascinating. It was a really interesting future story. I didn't know anything about it going into it, so it was kind of cool to go in unspoiled and just see what it was. But yeah, I thought it was great. Definitely worth your time. And yes, I picked out something very early on that's a nod to the Masters of the Universe movie that I thought was awesome. I tweeted it out from the Holy BatCast thing, and I was like, wait a minute, I know what you're doing here. So it was really cool. As for actually doing a review or a bonus episode, yeah, I'm open to it if the guys are, so we'll keep it in mind.
Side note to that, have you read DC's or Masters of the Multiverse?
No.
It's like the DC and Masters of the Universe crossover thing.
Mm-mm.
You may dig it. I've read the first issue, and I couldn't even get through the whole first issue. It was just too much for me, but you might dig it.
Okay.
It touches on a lot of the different realms of the Masters of the Universe stuff from like the show, and it's weird. But you're way more into the He-Man stuff than me, so it wasn't my thing, but it might be yours. Okay,
cool. I mean, I read like the DC Universe, Masters of the Universe crossovers, and I really like those.
I know bugger all about He-Man. So,
well, I know there was one, and I don't think I read it because I was waiting for the last issue to drop on DC Universe that was Injustice and Masters of the Universe crossover.
Yes, that was the one I was buying, and then I sort of lost track of, so I need to go back and finish it. But they did a few that I really liked. They did a bunch of DC did a bunch of Masters of the Universe comics on their own, which I really liked. Then they did a DC Universe Masters of the Universe crossover, which was awesome. And then the latest one I think was Injustice.
Somewhere floating out there's a Masters of the Universe Thundercats one. I should get around to that too.
I think I have that one too.
That one seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, because of course, I love those. All right, next email here is from Marshall Naylor. It says, "Hey, Andy, Jamie, and Brendan. I've never written in before, but I have written into Disorder about your Bolt episode. I was asked recently about my 9-year-old younger brother what Dark Knight was about, as he knows it's my favorite Batman movie, and he's only seen Batman Begins. I told him it's a very well-written story about Batman attempting to stop the Joker while trying to deal with his ongoing battle with throat cancer." I was also wondering whether there's an episode of your show where you tell your top 5 Batman films or something like that, because I couldn't find one. Thanks, Marshall Naylor. P.S. Will you guys do anything for the 15th anniversary for Batman Begins? Just curious. Thanks, Marshall. And did we ever? I mean, there have been many episodes where people have asked us to rank our Batman films in the mailbox, right?
Yeah.
But we've never dedicated an episode to it.
I don't think so. I feel like I've answered the question a lot of times though.
Yeah. I feel like we've gotten a lot of emails and we've answered the question a lot, but I also feel like just recently someone else wrote in saying, "Hey, you've never done an episode like that, so you should." So I'm open to that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we will put it on the to-do list, something we can do in the future. And then something for the 15th anniversary for Batman Begins. I'm open to it, but we haven't discussed any plans for it. So not yet, but maybe?
It seems like a decent anniversary.
Yeah.
To look at it in some way.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm always happy to revisit Batman Begins, so I'm good with it.
Hell yeah.
We did that crossover episode with the Suicide Squad cast people on the Batman Begins a couple years back. So I guess we'd be due for a commentary if we're going to do that.
Right. Like, yeah, we broke down the movie in great detail with the Suicide Squad cast crossover. So, yeah, we would just have to do something different for the 15th anniversary. But, yeah, something for us to consider. All right, one last email here from Logan. It says, I just read The Long Halloween, and it more so than not solidified my belief that the Batman is based, at least loosely, around that run of comics. There's a scene where Carmine Falcone is in a graveyard at his son's grave, and Batman confronts him. But every time Batman confronts him, Catwoman intervenes. In this particular scene, Catwoman intervenes and a chase ensues, which also points to the bike chase scene. Also, side note, in reference to your comments about people dissecting your comments about the Batmobile, I find it funny because people were heaping praise on the Affleck Batmobile when it was first revealed. Now, 4 years later, the same crowd is complaining that it was too derivative of Nolan's design and tank-like style. Logan, thank you for the message. I found it kind of amusing that, like, when this new Batmobile got revealed and people were like, "Thank God, not a tank." And I was like, I'm pretty sure we said that when the Affleck Batmobile came out, that it was not a tank. But anyway, whatever. But yeah, thank you for your thoughts on seeing some parallels with The Long Halloween, and it certainly would not surprise us. We've certainly heard murmurs that there's a lot of influence of The Long Halloween, which is great. I love that story, and I think that could be really cool. But yeah, like it's been a few years since I read it when we covered it on this show, and so now that you mentioned it, I kind of remember that graveyard scene. So you might be onto something there.
I'm continuing my dive into Zero Year that I think I mentioned last week or the episode before. Oh
yeah, right.
Yeah, so I just downloaded and started reading the second part of that story, The Dark City, yesterday, and I'm enjoying that so far. And it is making me hope that the Riddler is potentially the main villain of this movie.
I was going to say, isn't Zero Year the one with Riddler's?
Yeah.
Riddler's like the big bad of that one or something. Like they say that's basically a Riddler story.
Yeah. I expect him to be. Yeah. All right. Well, that is it for the Wayne Manor mailbox. We are closing it, but oh my God, guys, you're not going to believe this. We got a voicemail.
Oh, wow.
What? I know. All right, so
Didn't know that was still a thing.
yeah, so let's check in and see who called in.
Hey guys, it's Jay Yaz here. Wanted to give the Wayne Manor voicemail box some love. I was curious what you guys would consider to be your biggest Batman missed opportunities over the years. I'm thinking something like a toy or a playset that you always wanted to get for Christmas when you were a kid but never got to get, or an issue of a comic book that would complete like an entire run that you've never been able to find, or even a chance to meet like an actor who played Batman, or a creator who you always wanted to but never had the chance to meet up. Just curious what you guys have to say. Hope you're staying well in quarantine and isolation, everything here, and can't wait to hear from you. Bye.
All right, that was from our pal Jay Yaws from the Comics Now podcast. Am I getting that right?
Indeed.
Comics Now? Okay, good. I'm going to keep all these podcasts right. Jay, great to hear from you, and I'm glad that you're not too mad at me after my comments about Detective Chimp. I still love you. Interesting question. So Batman missed opportunities, but not like, oh, I wish this movie would have happened, or I wish this story would have happened. It's more about like things that existed that we personally didn't get to take advantage of in some way. I just thought of a really good one, but I'll let you guys go first. Brendan, anything jump to mind of like a Batman missed opportunity?
Yes, I had one jump to mind, but then as the question he sort of elaborated on it, I had to change it. But the one that jumps to mind for me, and I know I've mentioned this on the episode before, is that when I was 8 years old, my mum didn't take me to see Batman Returns in the cinema because, the plan was to go, and I was getting all the McDonald's Happy Meals at the time. I was... getting all the toys. I had Batman Returns clothes, and someone told her that it was not, the greatest movie to take an 8-year-old to, and I never got to see it on the big screen until a couple of years ago when one of the cinema chains here did it as a retro movie. So, yeah, not seeing Batman Returns in its theatrical original run in 1992 is the main one that I can think of.
That's a good one. I feel you on that one. Jamie, what about you?
This is sort of an awkward one, but I mean, I guess it fits with the tone of what we're talking about here. I mentioned before that the first date I ever really went on was to see Batman '89 with my first high school girlfriend. And, I found out sometime later that she was trying to kiss me while the movie was playing, and I was like, so fixated on the movie, even though I'd already seen it 5 times, that I wasn't paying attention to that. So instead of my first kiss being during Batman '89, making it all that much more special, I'm pretty sure my first kiss happened with another girl watching, I want to say it was Another 48 Hours.
Wow.
Okay.
So, yeah, I guess kind of related, kind of not, but that's what popped into my head as Brendan was telling his story. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, it still counts, I guess. It's Batman related.
Yeah.
Mine, the one that jumped to my mind, and I think Brendan will know about this, is that there used to be a Batman ride at Movie World, right? That was based essentially on Batman Returns.
Correct.
And I've seen bits and pieces online and on YouTube and stuff, and it doesn't exist anymore. And it breaks my heart that there was a full-on theme park attraction. And, as I said before, I work in theme parks. I love theme parks. It's one of my passions. There was a full-on Batman attraction out there that was based on the Burton films that I did not get to experience for myself, because by the time I was old enough to try to get there, it was already gone. Because the ones we got at Six Flags in the States, they're fine, but they're not what Batman deserves. And to know that there was one, but it was in Australia and I didn't get to ride it, breaks my heart.
Yeah, it was very Batman Returns heavy originally, because it was called Batman Adventure the Ride, and then I think it was around 99, I want to say, they changed it to Batman Adventure the Ride 2, and it became more just a generic, because in the original one, the footage and everything that was used in the simulator, I'm pretty sure was all based on the footage, the scenes from Batman Returns. It was, I think it might have even been real life footage. I rode it once when I was 8, so I can't really remember the footage of the actual ride, but I know the lead into it was all very Batman Returns, like the robot. You went into the Batcave and it was an animatronic Batman, and it was all footage from the movie. I think this is going to test my memory, but I think maybe they did record, like Danny DeVito recorded stuff for it as the Penguin.
Wow.
I think, don't 100% quote me on that, but because I know.
But, well, I know that they did have access while they were shooting the movie, because again, I swear I watched it on YouTube, and it's not the best quality because back then it would have been a VHS camcorder, but it was enough that I got the gist. And the ride film looked like they literally shot it on the set of Gotham City from Batman Returns.
Yes. Yeah, and I know you went into one room after you were in the Wayne Library. You went into another room. There's all these computer screens, and it was Alfred's nephew, who was sort of doing the vision and everything. And
it wasn't Alfred. Michael Goff was like, "F this, I'm not doing this."
I'm pretty sure. Again, don't 100% quote me, but I think it may have been Dexter Fletcher.
Interesting.
Who played Alfred's nephew.
Okay.
And then you went into from there you went into the Batcave, which is sort of like a mini amphitheater. It was very much the cave from the Burton movies. It was the animatronic Batman, which was in the Batman Returns suit. And from there you went into the modules and you rode the ride. When it changed to Batman Adventure the Ride 2, it all became, like I said, it was very, very generic. The part in the library still happened, but from there you walked through the part where you would get the video from Alfred's nephew, but you just went straight into the Batcave, and all the vision for that was all computer generated, and that I know is on YouTube. Like, not even camcorder footage; it's literally the footage from the ride.
Oh, really? I'll check that out too.
It's on YouTube, and because in that one, again, they sort of used, I think Mr. Freeze might be the main villain from that one, but it kind of used Mr. Freeze, Joker, Catwoman. It was Kevin Conroy who did Batman. I think Mark Hamill may have done the Joker. I think Catwoman and Mr. Freeze were kind of just generic cartoon voices, but it's definitely, or I know it was on YouTube because back in the day I used to have it ripped to my old iPod. I had it on there, so yeah. But no, I can understand that for you as a missed opportunity.
Yeah, that's such a shame.
The Batman ride doesn't exist anymore at all because now they got rid of that maybe 7 or 8 years ago, and it's now the Justice League ride.
Right, and that one I've watched on YouTube as well, and that it looks fun. And we do have a Justice League.
It's fine, but yeah, it's not as good as the Batman Simulator ride.
Yeah, and we do have a Justice League ride at Six Flags here that is pretty good, so that one will have to do, but it's more Justice League. It's not Batman. And so, yeah. Anyway.
I actually think it's the same thing, but I think we got it first for some weird reason, but I'm pretty sure it's the same. Is it sort of like you go through the cars and you interact, like you're shooting, kind of like the Buzz Lightyear ride at Disneyland, and you're sort of Starro's taking over the Justice League and stuff?
You are, like, it's a similar idea, but I've watched the video from Movie World, and then I've ridden the one here in the States, and it's not the same. It's similar, but it's completely different media. It's not Starro. So it's a similar concept of that. Yeah, it's a shooting dark ride that's based on Justice League, but the show scenes in the media are different.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, well, thank you, Jay, for calling us. That was a fun little question. And so, if you guys have questions for the Wayne Manor mailbox, you can email those to holybatcast@rf4rm.com. Or if you do want to leave a voicemail, it's there. Yeah, people stopped using it, so I just stopped plugging it because it's like, it's one more thing to worry about. But Jay used it, so if anyone else wants to use it and leave us a voicemail, you can do that at 323-366-9246. But anyway, so we're going to wrap up this episode.
Wait, one more order of business.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
So I was buying a crap ton of alcohol at the store today with my wife because quarantine drinking is fun. I found a bottle of the stuff that Alfred is drinking at the end of Dark Knight Rises. Which I always thought he was calling it a Furley Brinker, but it's apparently Fernet Branca because, fancy. And
Right.
I poured myself a glass at the beginning of this episode, and I said I was going to drink it on the air. So this is going to be like a live taste test, so you can all hear my opinion of what I think of Alfred's taste and liquor.
Okay.
And I'm drinking it out of a Coke glass because I'm very fancy. So here goes nothing. I'm going to try this. Okay. I'm going to paraphrase Brendan's cousin when I say, you can drink it, but it tastes like shit.
All right.
If anybody wants the rest of this bottle, hit me up.
Okay.
I understand
All
that.
right. Yes. So did I. But I guess you and Alfred wouldn't be drinking buddies apparently.
This is the worst thing I've tasted since Andrew Watt made me drink. Oh, what's that stuff? He had me drink in Chicago. I can't remember. It starts with an M, and it's the most tragically awful stuff I've ever had in my mouth in my entire life.
All right.
Watt knows what I'm talking about if he's listening. Roman knows.
Okay. Well, all right. Sorry you didn't like it, but thank you for sharing your real-time reaction with us.
Yeah, Alfred's got stronger taste buds than me because, man, that's wrong. Ugh.
All right. Well, we are going to wrap it up. It was fun. Jamie, good to have you back, brother.
It's good to be back. It felt normal, and I enjoyed this, and hopefully I can get back into the swing of being a little bit more regular and normal about this. And since Andy's already invited me to be on 15 podcasts this week, I guess I'm going to hit the ground running. So.
Ha! Well, that's what you get. It's pent-up demand. At least you're wanted. That's got to count for something.
It is good to be wanted. And once more, just let me express again how much I appreciated all the well wishes and warm reach outs and what have you that everybody sent me. And these last couple of months, I'm very touched by all the support. Thank you again.
Good. Well, it's good to have you back. We love you. Where can everybody find you?
Twitter, BatRaider3960.
Sweet. Brendan, thank you as always. And this will be your last episode of Holy BatCast now that Jamie's back. So it's been fun.
Yeah, look, good while it lasted. Here for a good time, not a long time. and we'll always have our private video chats,
Exactly, just for us. No, of course, as much as we can keep the three of us together, we will continue to do so, but tell our friends where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter @Loey007. You can find my podcast, The Nightlight, on Twitter @NightlightPod, Facebook.com/TheNightlight, or TheNightlight.podbean.com.
There you go. Thanks. So give Jamie and Brendan a follow. I already told you where to follow me, but more importantly, follow the show. Find Holy BatCast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast and you will find us. Again, if you got a message for the Wayne Manor mailbox, that email is holybatcast@rf4rm.com. And if you are looking for other shows, again, check those out at rf4rm.com. But that will do it. On behalf of Jamie and Brendan, I've been Andy. This has been a Holy BatCast. We'll see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Holy BatCast is brought to you by real fans for real movies. Remember, the thoughts and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone, and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for.
What are you doing here?
It's gonna be okay.
Yeah, when you get out of my life. This is what I want to do. You have no right to stop me.
You can't just live in a fantasy world.
Why not? What's so great about reality? People care about me in there. Why can't you just let me have that?
You're smarter than this, Max. And if you cut the lonely victim act for a second, you see this is for your own good.